Hi guys, today I'm checking out the 5 craziest things Americans have said to me, a British person. Wow, I just gained a lisp there. I don't know where that came from. Lost in the Pond. His links are in the channel. I keep saying channel description. It's just in the video link, like the video description down below. But please wait till after this video to check him out. We love him. I've not even got my earphones on. Yeah, let's go. I wonder if anyone's ever said this to me.
Hello. This year marks the 10th anniversary of this channel. And to celebrate, I've been looking back at some of those early videos and asking myself, if I were to remake any of these today, what would they look like? And one of those videos was this one. 5 surprising things that Americans have said to me. When I made that video, I'd only lived in the country for 7 years. I was practically a novice. But now, 10 years later, I have a much larger back catalogue of the strangest, weirdest, and sometimes dumbest things Americans have ever said to me. Now, I don't want you to think that this is just some unnecessary pile-on against Americans. After all, I think my American wife would make the reverse video about British people. Plus,
Maybe
I also
should.
make dumb comments. We all do. We're human and mostly stupid. But since this channel is about my life in America, it's time to put Americans to the sword. And if you're okay with that and you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, do that now.
And here.
This first one wasn't so much dumb as it was just weird. One day, while I was really busy surfing the internet at work, one of my colleagues turned to me and said, "Lawrence, do you know what my favourite British word is?" I said, "No, because I'm not a mind reader. What is your favourite British word?" And their favourite British word was bumbershoot. Now, this was a surprise
What? I have never heard that word before in my life.
to me because I'd lived in Britain for 26 years and I'd never heard the word bumbershoot. What does bumbershoot mean? Oh, you know what bumbershoot means, British person. It's another word for umbrella. So since I was already surfing the internet, I thought, oh, well, why don't we Google this? So I did. Bumbershoot, a word of American origin. That's
American for it.
curious. It's like my colleague had heard the word bumbershoot and thought, that sounds whimsical, it must be British. But then she said, I heard Dick Van Dyke say it in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Well, that makes sense, because we all know that Dick Van Dyke has a history of accurately depicting British culture. Anyway, I told her to look up another British word for umbrella, brolly, which might have become her new
Call it a brolly, yeah. Definitely, that is definitely it. That's definitely, bumbershoot I've never heard of, but brolly, definitely.
obsession. I don't know, because I never spoke to her again after this incident.
No.
This one happened to me quite recently. I was attending a farmer's market, which is just something that happens to you once you hit 40. I'm walking along, minding my own business, when a man with a clipboard smiles at me. And when that happens to an introvert, there's only 2 things you can do. Pretend to be interested in what he has to say, or pretend to look at onions. But this guy was savvy. He knew that people didn't look at onions if they were already carrying them. So he pulled me into his sphere of influence with 3 terrifying words. "Hey there, buddy," like I'm a dog. I was so mortified that I don't really remember what I said next, but it was something along the lines of, "Sorry, my wife handles our finances, and if she weren't on the other side of the market buying lingonberries, she'd tell you we're not interested." Before I could say those words, he allayed my fears by paying me a compliment. "Dude, that is one awesome t-shirt." For context, I was wearing this t-shirt.
That's how they get you in. Compliments.
Even though I knew he was using a well-known sales technique to manipulate me into funding his uncle's pyramid scheme, I appreciated his taste in presidential caricatures. But then he said something really dumb that made me mentally want to rip up the contract that he probably wanted me to sign. He pointed again at the shirt and without a hint of irony, he said, Is that you?" I was stunned. I mean, surely he hadn't failed to recognize one of the most famous people in history, plus the guy on my shirt. "No," I said, "that's definitely Abraham
Kind of
Lincoln."
see it,
"Oh,
to be fair.
he said, "I did not recognize him with those funny glasses on." And while I appreciated his attempts at paraphrasing Lois Lane, I still question whether he recognized Abraham Lincoln at all. Sadly, I never got to find out because at that moment my wife turned up with a bag of lingonberries and told him we're not interested. On this channel, I use the word Britain a lot, usually just as a shorthand way of saying either England, United Kingdom, what have you, when in reality, Britain has a very precise definition: Scotland, Wales, and England, because that's what Britain is. Basically, it's this part of the British Isle.
Hello. And us. And us.
And there was an American in the comments who thought they knew better than me, who said, don't forget about Ireland. And actually, I think this might be a common misconception among Americans. And to be fair, it is all a bit confusing because contrary to popular belief, Ireland is part of the British Isles, which is defined as Britain plus Ireland and Northern Ireland and the seas that are around it. And I suppose the other part that really causes confusion is that we have the United Kingdom. That itself is different from Britain and does include Northern Ireland, but not Ireland. Even I'm confused now.
Yeah.
So then he said, no, look at your passport. It says the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Clearly Ireland is part of Britain. And they somehow couldn't figure out that what that meant was the United Kingdom is literally that. It is the unification of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And Ireland has nothing to do with any of it. It's its own country under its own jurisdiction. It didn't fight in World War II. They prefer the word soccer and their passports look like this. So no, when I'm defining Britain, there's no reason that I would include Ireland or Northern Ireland or anything Irish whatsoever. You know what? The Irish people prefer it that way. Actually, a lot of Scottish people don't claim to be British or Welsh people. It's just the English. About 92% of the dumbest stuff that's ever been said to me was said when I worked in a call centre. And for those of you who don't know, a call centre rep's career begins with about 4 weeks of training. And this is to prepare you for life on the floor, where you will take several calls and contract many diseases. And one day, our trainer was recounting this story of a customer who wanted an international phone plan because she was flying to Amsterdam. Now, one of the chatty people in the class, because all classes have them, asked the question, where's Amsterdam? And that is not the part that took me aback, because at least that person had the curiosity to ask the question. What took me aback was the trainer's response. He said, I'm not sure, but I think it's in England somewhere. Anyway, that's not important. And I'm like, hello?
Definitely not in England, just to let you know. Definitely not.
It's important to me, because if I'd have known that England had those kind of cafes, I wouldn't have spent £300 on a ferry. Sadly, nobody seemed to get the joke, so I explained, Amsterdam is the capital of the Netherlands, and yes, it's legal over there. And that same chatty person looked in my direction and said, what's legal over there? Well, that put me in a...
How do you not know? Like, everyone knows what Amsterdam is all about.
Rubbish position, because now all of the eyes were on me. Would it be a wise move to utter such a taboo word in a training class like this one? And then I remembered I didn't really want the job anyway, so I just said it. What's legal over there? Education.
Procrastination isn't your fault.
Oh my god. I was not expecting that to come out. That took me by surprise, that one. I thought I was going to say the other one. The other thing. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it on YouTube, but the other thing that's not really legal everywhere else, but it's legal in Amsterdam.
Eventually, I made it out onto the floor, and let me tell you, all of the training in the world couldn't have prepared me for working in a US call centre with this accent. I got every comment that you could possibly imagine, from, wait, is this call international? To, you sound like that Simon Cowell guy. To, do you have a brother who's single? But the weirdest comment I got wasn't about my Englishness, but actually the lack of it. And I hesitate to call this a dumb comment because it came from a sweet old lady who generally seemed confused as to who she was or why she was calling. But while attempting to verify her details, she interrupted me and said in a slow southern accent, I'm so sorry, sir, but I'm having a hard time understanding your accent. Could I please talk to somebody who speaks English? She sounded exactly like that. And as an English person, I'd never had my grasp of English questioned before. I suddenly empathized with Scousers. I am literally English, I said, enunciating each syllable like I myself were talking to somebody who couldn't understand English. Could I have you confirm your billing address? There was silence on the other end of the phone. Was it the way I was saying address? Excuse me, your billing address. The line was still active, but she remained silent. Had my incomprehensible accent sent her to an early grave? Suddenly, another voice came on the line. It was her daughter. Hi, this is Peggy. Perhaps it'd be easier if I talk on my mother's behalf. This family, they all sounded really weird. And this brought its own set of problems, because in order to speak with Peggy, I had to get her mother's verbal permission. How would I do that without an English-to-English translator? And then it hit me. I could temporarily hire Peggy for the role. Peggy, put me on speaker so your mother can hear both of us. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, now ask her this. Do you give the gentleman permission to discuss your account with Peggy? Do you give the gentleman permission to discuss your account with Peggy, with me? She said with surprising fluency. Her mother responded with, yes, the English word for yes. Finally, we verified the address, which meant that I could now move forward with the next question on my script. And how can I help you with your cell phone service today?
Wait, did you say cell phone service? I'm trying to reach the 700 Club. I'm sorry to waste your time, sir.
Aw.
Goodbye.
So those are some of the wackier things Americans have.
That's so annoying if that actually did happen. That's crazy. That's like James. People struggle to understand James. He does talk too fast though. I think that might be part of it. But that was a great video by Lawrence. His links are in the description below. If you could smash the like button and that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day.